So I think I'm all set up and ready to start. The sun's coming up. I got my prep work done last night and early this morning, and I think I'm ready to roll. I have used my template, as you saw, to cut out all the pieces. I've got the rim of my pot, which is going to stay right here on this board while I build so that it doesn't get out of shape. I've got the bottom of the pot and all the sides and feet. All these pieces have been cut and ready to go. I've got my tools and I've got my coffee. So let's see how this thing goes. One of the things I still need to do that I don't do when I'm prepping the pieces, because I like to do it as I build, is to think about the angle that the ends of the walls of my pot are cut. These are cut more or less square right now, where I held the knife perpendicular to the table to make those cuts. But since they're going to come together at corners, I like to bevel the cuts a little bit to cut under, and make those bevel cuts that I cut meet together a little bit better where they meet on the corners. So I'm going to go ahead and trim under a little bit as I work and prepare each of these walls. So now that I've got all the walls standing on this lip, I'm going to continue to work with it with the pot in an upside down position. I'm going to reinforce some of the connections that I've just made with some soft coils. One of the things that you might have noticed as I was building is that as I build, I like to use thick slip, and I mean that in two ways really. I think the slip itself should actually be a nice thick mix that has body of its own that can kind of hold some shape. If it's all watery and just runs everywhere, then that's not my preference anyway. I like it to kind of pile up onto the seams. I put it on both surfaces and then I press it together, and you can see where I've pressed it together. Sometimes it'll push a little bit of slip out of that seam, and that's great. That tells me there was enough in there to fill all the gaps and make sure that we have a really strong connection. So what I'm going to do is reinforce along all these outside edges. It'll be under the lip. And I'm going to press a soft coil into some of the slip that's there. In places like this where you can still see the scoring, I may add a little bit more slip just to make sure that this coil is going to stick in place. In this case, I won't be quite so generous because I'm not really making a new seam between leather hard pieces, but rather just pressing some soft clay into the seam to reinforce. Alright kids, I think I've got the base all ready. I've put my stamp in it, I've cut the drain holes. I think I'm going to cut wire holes later when it's all assembled, just so I don't put more holes in this than I need to. I'm going to move this aside for a second, and it's time to score the surface that the base of the pot is going to be attached to. We're going to get that scored, get some slip on there. We'll flip the base over so we're scoring and slipping the other side so that what we're looking at there with the stamp is the bottom. and then we're going to put these together, and the goal is going to be to put it together and then get it flipped back over so that it can stand on with the bottom side down. After this structure with all these walls and the lip is going to hold together quite well. It reinforces itself in a sense, and so getting the base on is obviously an important step, but the base is going to tend to want to sag into this space. So we'll get it on here, get it attached really well, and then get it flipped over so that it can stand flat, and that base can be flat against that board while it sets up a little bit, and we'll do a little reinforcing then. So that's going to be the plan.